Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 29th of October, and I want to talk about that Jesus, yes, did pay for our sin, and that he showed the way to salvation. He paid for the sin of the world. That debt is paid, the truth was revealed 2,000 years ago, and all that remains is for us to see it. I just want to go back, maybe something that will put humanity on the correct way. A knowledge that was in this world and that Christianity thoroughly destroyed, an understanding that was in this world. I was talking yesterday about the last years of Jesus. And as I say, I'm not going with the Essene story at all. Yeah? That this knowledge came from somewhere that was in isolation, isolated from the world. Because that's how the Essene communities lived. So if you go with the Essene story, then you say the knowledge came from isolation, from being isolated from this world. Again, yeah, not being of this world, being somewhat elevated above the world. That is the Essene story, and I'm not going with that. The other story of the last years is his travel to other centers of knowledge. And that is really going back to the mystery schools that were in contact with one another, that shared knowledge. So if he traveled with Joseph of Arimathea, I said John yesterday, it's Joseph, to gather that knowledge. So again, I was talking about the anthem Jerusalem, yeah? And the last lines of it, well, it speaks about Jesus having been in England. That's what the anthem says. And did these feet in ancient times walk upon England's mountains green? Was Jesus in England? Did he travel with Joseph of Arimathea? But then the last line says, and was Jerusalem built here amongst those dark satanic mills? And no, it wasn't. Jerusalem was not built in England. The knowledge of the Druids may have been a part of what Jesus, the knowledge of Jesus. But only one part. He went to other parts and got other knowledge. Did the Druid knowledge serve Jesus in what he was doing? Well, it is very hard to tell because, I mean, as far as the knowledge of the Druids is concerned, Christianity did a real good wipeout job. I mean, there was destruction that was pretty much complete. There's not much left of that. So, yeah, they did a real job on that one. So it's hard to tell whether the Druid knowledge is a part of that teaching. It might be. The point is, well, I'll come to the point in a minute. To me, I thought yesterday it was a bit like building the International Space Station. Yeah? Where every country gives a part to the station. Something that they are good at, something that, that they have excelled in. And the station was built by all. So, yes, a bit like that. So no, he was wrong thinking it was built in England. There may have been a part of it from England, from the Druids, but definitely not all. That was the whole point. And I was thinking about what happened when he returned to Jerusalem, to his own country, starting to preach his knowledge. And obviously the temple sent out their spies thinking, what the hell is going on here? What the hell of teaching is that? What is he on about? But the questions they asked, or what they accused him of, I mean, listen to that. They accused him of driving out spirits or healing by Beelzebub. And here's the thing, Beelzebub was part of their own pantheon. I mean, not allowed anymore at that time, obviously, because Yahweh had been elevated to be the only one, but they were still thinking inside of their own box. Very much inside of their own box. Within their own teaching. Whereas, again, if you believe on the story that Jesus traveled the world, he had definitely left the box. That is Judaism. He had completely left. He went into the garden of knowledge and ate of all the trees. And again, that is probably why they could not understand what he was doing, because they were firmly in their box. And they insisted on staying in their box. Anything outside, they don't touch it. Don't touch it. God will destroy you if you touch something else. Christianity is the same now. Firmly in its own box. Vilifying everything else that is outside it. So, and here's the thing, would Jesus have used Druid knowledge? And the answer is yes, absolutely he would have done. If the knowledge was in any way helpful for his purpose, which was to reveal what the Jews worshipped as God, to reveal the truth of what is actually out there, which is what he did in the book of the Revelation. So, but if the Druid knowledge, if there's anything in there that would have aided him to do that, he would have used it. Out of the understanding of the old mystery scrolls. Yeah? And that is that all knowledge is coming from the One. Nothing else exists. There is no compartmentalization of knowledge. It's all coming from the same source. So if the Jews would have condemned, I mean, bad enough it had come from Beelzebub, yeah? But, I mean, if they had known what he was up to, all the way out there, you know, expanding his mind in India, I mean, I think blasphemy would not even have covered it. So, but it is from the understanding that everything is coming from the same source. There is no division. Knowledge is given to serve, and it's all coming from the same source. So if the Jews would have condemned him even more, which they would have done, because it is Druid knowledge, and then you would have said it is the knowledge of the Druids, like it is their knowledge. And then the understanding is, no, it's not their knowledge. The knowledge is coming from the same source. They are only the ones that received it. They are not the owners of it. They haven't built it. It's not theirs. So you're condemning the knowledge because of the one that is saying it. And you shouldn't. If knowledge is spoken, it is all coming from the same source, and it doesn't matter who's speaking it. The prophet or the one that's speaking it is not important. And he's not the owner. And we are not divided by who is speaking it. Because the knowledge all comes from the same source. It comes from the same source. It does not belong to the one that is receiving it. That is another thing. They were sharing freely with each other. Continuously give to one another, and greater things will you do. Out of the understanding that it's only different perspectives that see different things, but it's all the same source. There is no division. But I mean, if the Jews had known that at the time, they would have clearly seen a division. And that is coming from a different God, and that is coming from a different source. It's not. It's not coming from a different source. Can't. There is only one. So maybe that should serve, that old view of how things are should serve humanity to get out of the division. Yeah? Every religion in this world is receiving from the same source. If it is true knowledge, it's coming from the same source. There's no division. And none of us owns this knowledge, and it is not given to rule over. That's another thing he said. It's not given to rule over, but to serve. Those that have the greatest knowledge should be the greatest servants to all. Right. Which brings me to the point where I am saying, and I said it 100 times, I know I have, but I will stop making videos. I started this 10 years ago with a question. You know, looking for salvation, yes, definitely. Getting out of this mess, which I haven't. You know, I'm getting deeper and deeper into mess here. But that is what it should have served. It was for me, it was for my family. And the question I asked 10 years ago was really the question of how does a teaching that proclaims to be love, compassion, salvation, whatever, end up in the book of the Revelation, which is full on destruction? If that is the outcome of the teaching, something must have gone wrong on the way, because that should not be the outcome. And I've seen what has gone wrong. I think my question is answered. What Jesus revealed on the way of denial of self is evil. He revealed evil, an evil influence on this world, the cube, which is an evil influence on this world, the truth of God, what they revered as God, which is an evil influence on this world. That is what he has revealed. That is the truth that he brought. And he paid for it with his life and with his own human consciousness. He paid for our not knowing, for our ignorance, for our misunderstanding, to bring us into the light of the truth. And then the whole thing went wrong when Paul, being connected to the assimilated Jesus, the changed Jesus, the reborn Jesus, proclaimed, he was the first one that proclaimed evil to be good, that proclaimed the way into destruction to be the way into salvation. That's what the mistake occurred. He was the first one to call evil good and good evil, and to lead people on the wrong way. The way of denial of self is the way to destruction. And now, of course, the whole thing is aided and abetted by an Eastern tradition that says that the disintegration of the self and this disintegration of the mind is the way into enlightenment. I mean, that is Bug's life. That really is Bug's life. Yeah? Go into the light, bzzz. I'm calling that moment enlightenment. When you fry. But I mean, at the moment, the two have been put together and they're making perfect bedfellows. The two teachings. Because they both end up in the same place. Total destruction. Right. So where I'm at now, and I've realized this, I am on the speaking level. Yeah. I talk and I talk and I talk and I do not know. There is a line in the Emerald Tablets that stuck in my head, and quite often things stick in my head because I intuitively know they are very important, but I probably don't understand at the moment why they are important. And that line was, those that speak do not know, and those that know do not speak. I'm stuck on the speaking level. I'm stuck on the level of reasoning. I'm stuck on the level of talking about it. I'm not on the level of knowing. So in order to know, you would need to go by the teaching of whatsoever you ask for in prayer, know that you have received it and it will be yours. That is the part that leads to knowing. And then ask out of sound judgment. And that is your own sound judgment, not somebody else's. Don't let somebody else tell you what to ask for because, it will lead you to salvation. Forget it. Ask out of your own sound judgment. And consider the consequences. Absolutely consider the consequences, because there will be consequences. Any change that you create will have its own consequences. And you will have to experience them. So think about what it is you're asking for. Be your own judge. You were given the ability to judge, so bloody well do it. Do not fall into the trap where you think yourself that the knowledge would elevate you above. It doesn't. It has been given to serve you, but it does not elevate you. You're still part of the same web. Yeah, do not let this take you to a place where you think, I'm the elevated one now, and those that are still in ignorance are just human animals. There are those that think that in this world right now. They even speak it. Those are just human animals, and you can do to them whatever you like out of your elevated state. You shouldn't even do it to a real animal. It's not even true then. Never mind another human. But as I said, in order to know, you need to get out of the speaking level. In what I've seen, this level, the speaking level, should create a foundation for the next level. It is the foundation from where you go. Again, Christians are going from a completely crooked foundation, where they're calling good evil and evil good. And if they launch themselves from there, yeah, you're going to hell. I mean, you're literally going to hell, because that's the path to hell. But if I feel now that I have a foundation from where I can go, I need to go. And in order to know, you need to leave this level to go to the next. So I need to leave the speaking level to go to the next. It is only the next level that will create real change. That's where the real change in this world is actually starting to occur. Not on the point where you're still reasoning about it. Reasoning doesn't do anything. It only builds a foundation. But you need to launch yourself. Well, I leave the channel. I leave it sitting there. Right now it's drowning in all the noise. I mean, I was thinking again that is probably why Jesus did what he did 2,000 years ago, when there was still relative calm. You know, not everybody was speaking, not everybody was prophesying, not everybody was telling their truth. It was somewhat restricted. At the moment it's chaos. I mean, it's total chaos. Everybody's talking. And I would say if Jesus were to attempt now to bring his message, you know, open a channel, you know, create a YouTube channel, Jesus of Nazareth, here's the truth. He wouldn't get a word in edgeways. Because there's just too much noise. Far too much noise. But, as I said, I leave my channel sitting here. Maybe one day people will be ready to hear it, or somebody will find it and, I don't know, give it some more weight. I mean, I'm happy to come back and say it again. But right now I don't think there's much point, because I said there's far too much noise for people to hear what it is you're saying. Maybe the time will come. But right now, I said, things are going to hell around me. I mean, really are going to hell around me. I'm sinking. And it's time I did something about it, and that was why I went on this whole thing to start with. To find an understanding how I can do something about it, and I think I found it. I'm willing to try it. But, as I said, you cannot be in two levels at the same time. Right now I'm stuck in the speaking level and I need to get out of it. Which means I have to stop talking. And that's what I will do. But I mean, hopefully I've given you something where you can go. I mean, in the end you have to do it yourself. I can't do it for you. Everybody has to do it for themselves. Yeah, don't wait. Don't sit on your backside and wait for somebody to give it to you. You have to do it. You have to be the judge. You have to be the one that believes. That's the only way you will see, is by doing it yourself. So hopefully I've given you some truth, the truth that Jesus tried to give 2,000 years ago, about what is good and what is evil. Hopefully I've given you a foundation. Hopefully I've got the right foundation. I mean, good luck to us all. In the end, the true knowledge will be in the outcome. Yeah, so I leave it at that for now. If you're trying, I will try. If you're trying, good luck. See you on the other side. So I leave it at that. Bye.